Ladies, now, let me tell y'all something. In this new world we livin' in, you got women out here trying to send essays to a man, paragraphs long, novels, Shakespeare, and wonderin' why he ain't respondin'. Baby, it ain't the number of words, it's the power in one. One line, one message. That one text that can hit his chest like a memory, like a regret, like a warm thought. That's what I'm talking about today. The text that triggers his emotions like crazy. You ready? Let's go deep. Now, ladies, let me tell you something real. A man don't forget the feeling. You hear me? He might forget what you wore, what you said, even what you cooked that one night when he swore it was the best damn lasagna he ever had. But what he don't forget is how you made him feel. So when you send a text that reaches into that part of him, into that memory he didn't even know was still sitting in his chest, that's when you get him. That's when the emotions flood in. That's when his thumbs freeze and he just sits there, staring at the screen, breathing heavy like, damn, why she say that? See, here's what y'all get wrong sometimes. You think the emotional text is the long one, the apology, the explanation, the I just wanted to say type of message. Nah, a man ain't wired for all that. We don't do 5-paragraph essays when we think about you. It's that one line that hits like a memory. You send him something simple like, do you remember that night you held me on the balcony in the rain? Or, I walked past that diner today, made me smile. Boom. You done messed his whole head up. You ain't beggin'. You ain't accusin'. You just reminded him of a moment he thought was gone. A moment that meant something to him, even if he never said it out loud. You just brought back a feeling he wasn't prepared to feel today. And now he's sitting there looking at his phone like it's a time machine. That's the power of that one text. You ain't chasing him. You waken up the version of him that used to show up. You reminding him of when things were good, when it felt real, before the ego, before the games. Now some women ask me, Steve, what if he's already moved on? Listen, baby. A man can be laid up next to a whole new woman and still have a part of his heart that belongs to a memory he ain't let go of. Men don't talk about it, but we hold on. We just hide it better. We bury it under pride, under silence, under new routines. But it don't go away. So when you hit him with that line, just that one little text, you don't need to say, I miss you. You just gotta take him back for a second. And if that moment was real for him, it'll shake him up real deep. Let me break it down even more. That text ain't just about what you say. It's when you say it. Catch him on a night when he tired, maybe just had a rough day, and he's scrolling through old photos on his phone. Don't lie, we all do it. And then, ping, your message pops up. It ain't an accident. That's divine timing. That's God letting him know. Hey man, you remember love. This was it. And that's the moment you move his heart, not with pressure, not with tears, but with truth. Now don't go misusing this power, alright? This ain't about manipulation. This ain't about playing with his head. This is about awakening what's already there. That memory that's still alive inside him, waiting for the right spark. And baby, you got the match. You just gotta strike it the right way. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Keep it simple, keep it real, and let it breathe. Because when a man feels something again, and I mean truly feels, he can't run from it. He'll reread that text 3, 4 times. He'll sit in the car in silence, remembering how he used to laugh with you, how your head fit perfectly on his chest, how you used to sing off key and still think you sounded like Beyoncé. All that comes back with one line. That's why I say it only takes one text. The right one, the honest one, the memory maker. And that's when you got him right where you want him. Not confused, not chased, but connected. Because girl, that emotion, that's the hook. And baby, you the only one who knows where to cast it. Ladies, lean in and listen close, 'cause I need you to hear this with your heart. A man don't fall for pressure. He falls for familiarity. That's what triggers his emotions. That's what pulls at his heartstrings. You ever notice how men act tough, but get soft when they hear an old song? That's not because the lyrics are deep. It's because it reminds them of a time they felt safe, loved, known. That's what you gotta understand. If you wanna send a message that touches a man in places he don't even like to admit he got. See, pressure makes a man put up walls. When he feels like you trying to force him into a corner, into a feeling, into a reaction, he'll shut down. That's how we're built. We wired to fix, not to feel under fire. But if you come at him with something that feels like home, something that takes him back to the comfort zone where his heart felt light, baby, that's when you got him. That's when the text don't just hit the screen, it hits the soul. You might be thinking, Steve, what does that even look like in a text? Let me break it down for you. You don't say, why don't you ever talk to me anymore? That's pressure. You don't say, you don't care about me. That's guilt. And you definitely don't say, you lost the best thing you ever had. That's ego, baby. And ego don't bring nobody back. But you hit him with, every time I hear that 90s slow jam, I think about our drive to the lake. Now that's familiar. That's soft. That's real. You just took him out of his day to day life and dropped him right back into a feeling. You didn't force him to respond. You didn't ask him to explain. You just let him feel it. You reminded him of a version of himself he probably misses too. The one that used to smile more. The one that used to love better. The one that didn't let pride keep him from connection. You let his own nostalgia do the work. And let me tell you, nostalgia is one of the strongest emotions a man got. Stronger than anger. Stronger than lust. You ever see a man get choked up over a childhood toy, or over a smell that reminds him of his grandma's house? That's real emotion. That's a connection to something he didn't even know still lived inside of him. So when you bring him back to that, not only do you stand out, you become unforgettable. You become the one who speaks his language without saying too much. Now here's the secret sauce. You gotta be calm when you send it. You can't send that text when you emotional, crying, mad, typing with your thumbs moving 100 miles a minute. No, baby, sit in your power. Take a breath. And ask yourself, what's the one moment between us that felt real, soft, safe? Then put it into a sentence. That's all it takes. That's the emotional trigger. Because when it comes from peace, it hits different. It don't come off needy. It comes off familiar. And men, we chase what's familiar more than we chase what's intense. That's why some of us go back to that ex we shouldn't be going back to. Not because she was right for us, but because she felt familiar, safe, known. But when you master that without the drama, when you send a text that feels like home, but don't come with expectation, oh, that's when you really mess him up. That's when he start wondering why I let her go again. Or why does it still feel like she gets me better than anyone else? That's when you shift his whole energy. Let me say this one last thing. Don't confuse familiar with repetitive. It ain't about sending the same "I miss you" over and over. It's about painting a moment that meant something. It's about that time he laughed so hard he cried. That inside joke you, too, had that nobody else would get. That silly thing you used to say when you were laying on his chest. You want to light his heart up, light up the part of his memory that still belongs to you. So when you text, don't chase, don't beg, don't push. Just connect. Send a message that don't ask for anything. It just reminds him of everything. Now let me tell you ladies something that most men ain't gonna say out loud. But it's the truth. When it comes to texting a man and triggering something deep inside him, it ain't about how much you say, it's about what you don't say. You want to pull a man in emotionally. You keep some mystery. You keep your dignity. You say less, and you let that silence do the work. 'Cause I promise you, nothing makes a man sit in his feelings more than a woman who knows when to shut the door softly and walk away like she still owned the room. See, desperation is loud. It's long messages. It's, "Why haven't you replied?" It's, "I just want closure." Baby, let me help you out right now. Closure is a trap. It's just another word for you trying to get him to explain why he didn't love you the way you wanted him to. That's not closure. That's you trying to make sense of somebody who already showed you what they were about. You want to hit him where it hurts. You don't send the novel, you send the whisper. You don't ask for attention, you command it by how little you say. Mystery ain't about being cold, it's about being in control. A high-value woman knows that her energy is expensive, so she ain't just throwing it out there in all caps, begging for a response. No, she sends a little something soft, something simple, and lets the silence sit in the air like perfume. And trust me, he smells it, he notices it, and now he's wondering what you really meant. Because when a man has to guess, has to fill in the blanks, has to wonder if you still care, that's when his emotions get triggered. Not when you lay it all out. You want to send a man into emotional overdrive. Hit him with something that makes him pause. Something that makes him say, "Wait, what does she mean by that?" For example, you text him something like, "Funny how memories show up when you least expect them." That's all you say. No emojis. No follow-up. No explanation. Just that. Now you got him scrolling through old pictures, thinking about the way you used to sit in his car, laughing with your feet on the dashboard. And the worst part, he don't know if you're feeling soft or moving on. And that mystery, that drives him crazy. But let's flip it. Let's say you send the long emotional speech instead. All your feelings, your pain, your confusion. Girl, let me tell you, most men ain't even readin' all that. They skimmin'. They scrollin' through like it's a terms and conditions page. And by the time they get to the part where you said, I just want you to understand, he's already checked out. Because when you show desperation, he sees it as a loss of value. And when a man feels like he got you no matter what, he don't chase. He gets lazy. But when you pull back with grace, that's when he wake up. And let me be clear, it ain't about games. This ain't no manipulation tactic. This is about self-respect. About understanding that your presence, your words, your energy, they all carry weight. So when you speak, you don't overdo it. You don't overexpose your heart to someone who hasn't earned that level of access. You move like a woman who knows who she is. And baby, that confidence, that silence, that mystery, that's what gets him. That's what wakes up his regret. That's what flips his ego upside down at 1:32 a.m. when he can't sleep and rereads your message 3 times trying to decode it. Because the truth is, when you leave a little unsaid, a man has to bring his heart into the conversation. He can't just react, he has to feel. And that's what we talking about here, triggering his feelings. Not just his attention, not just his ego, his actual emotions. And emotion don't live in pressure, it lives in the quiet, the memory, the feeling of, I might have lost something real. So when you get ready to send that one text, keep it short, keep it true, keep it mysterious, let it sit, don't follow up, don't double text. Let him wonder, let him feel, because less, oh baby, when done right, less becomes everything. Let me tell y'all something about men that most women don't realize. We don't process emotion with logic. Nah, baby, we feel in moments, not in bullet points. A man ain't sittin' there readin' your paragraph, long message thinkin', yes, that makes rational sense. No, he's respondin' to timing. It's about what's going on in his world, in his heart, in that very minute you hit send. That's when your message either hits or misses. It ain't just what you say. It's when you say it. See, timing is a spiritual thing. You don't always get to plan it. But when it hits, right, oh, baby, it's like music playing at the exact moment he thinks about you. That's why you don't send that text when you feel like it. You send it when he's likely to be sittin' with himself. When the world slows down, when it's quiet, when his guard ain't up. You text him when he's driven alone, when he just got out the gym, when he's layin' in bed after midnight starin' at the ceiling and wonderin' why he still feels empty, even with people around. That's when your message don't just land, it echoes. That's when it wraps around his chest and sits heavy, 'cause his walls ain't up in that moment. Emotion sneaks in through the cracks, and the right text, sent at the right time, will make a man put his phone down, take a deep breath, and sit with himself. Not because of the words, but because of the feeling it awakens in him at just the right second. You ever send a text and don't get a response, but then 2 weeks later he hit you with, hey, I was just thinking about you. You know why? 'Cause back when you sent it, he wasn't ready. He was distracted. He was trying to act like he didn't care. But then life slowed down. The noise got quiet. His distractions got boring. And your words caught up to him. That's timing. That's how it works with emotion. It don't always hit when it's delivered. But baby, when it hits, it heights. Now some of y'all impatient. You send the message, and 5 minutes later, you already wonderin', why hasn't he replied? Did I say something wrong? No, you didn't say nothin' wrong. You just said it too soon. Timing ain't about quickness. It's about readiness. A man ain't gonna feel what you said until he's in a space where it's safe for him to feel it. And let me be real, most men don't feel when their ego is still driven. They feel when they alone, when the noise stops, when the distractions lose flavor. So the secret, you send it when it matters to him, not just to you. When you know he just finished something big. When you know it's a holiday and he probably feelin' sentimental. When you know he's at home on a Sunday night, sittin' with his thoughts. You send a text like, "Hope today was kind to you." Something gentle, timed right. And that one line, that one well-timed message, it hits deeper than any love letter could. Timing also means you don't reach out when you're emotional and want a quick fix. That ain't the moment. That's just your craving, not his opening. Don't let your loneliness ruin your power. You don't need to throw a lifeline out just because the night got quiet. Sometimes the most powerful text is the one you wait to send. The one you hold till your spirit says, "Now," not your hurt, not your fear, your wisdom. A woman who knows timing is a woman who knows herself. And that's what makes a man pause. You become unforgettable when you don't force your way in. You let the moment open itself. That's when he feels it for real. Not 'cause you begged, not 'cause you explained, but because you showed up at the right time. Like a memory, like a whisper, like a feeling he forgot he missed. So baby girl, when it comes to that one text that'll trigger his emotions like crazy, don't rush it. Don't overthink it. Just listen for the right moment. And when you feel it in your spirit, when the silence is strong, when the connection is open, you send that line, that one soft, subtle message, and then you leave it alone. 'Cause if it was real, if you timed it right, that man ain't just gonna read it. He gon' feel it.